We live. Welcome to another edition of the Rumshot Diaries. What's this? Season 1, episode 11. It's going to be a quick one. I'm looking at the time, and the timer says 22 seconds. I'm going to make sure that this one's over. It's definitely got to be over within half an hour, but I'm going to try and aim for the 20-minute mark here because in theory, sorry, my hat, in theory, there shouldn't be that much to discuss today. It's a little quick one to just look at how the West Indies should line up for their... Listen, I'm calling it a knockout game. I'm calling it a knockout game tomorrow. If we lose to South Africa, we're finished. That's the way I see it. Obviously, we're not. Mathematically, we're not. But if we lose, we're done. And similarly, actually, if South Africa lose, they're probably done. They're not, again, but you know what I mean. You lose your first two games, it's an uphill task. So let's get into it. Thank you for those who are on the Cricket Fanatics show. My bros out in South Africa. I was on their show earlier on, talking through much the same thing, but this is just obviously half. That was some South African chat interspersed with me giving the West Indian point of view. This one is just specifically about where I see things going with regards to tomorrow. Big up Sachin, yes, loved that. I've only just been told what these super chat things mean. Apparently, this is a way for you lot to show support to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Apparently, like if you pay money or something, I'm supposed to put your chat up. But big up Sachin, long-time supporter. You're always messaging in Instagram and whatnot. And that's the other thing, though, you know. The one thing I'd like to say with regards to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast is we do try and interact with everybody. We don't always agree. And in fact, we're often beefing people, but we always interact with everybody, no matter who you be. So big up everybody who supports the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I didn't even do the normal intro. If you don't know already, my name is Machel St. Patrick Hewitt. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You should know that by now. For tomorrow's game, West Indies versus South Africa, Santoki is out there. He just showed me his ticket that he's got for the game tomorrow. Big up Cricket West Indies. They hooked him up. He's in the posh seats tomorrow. So big up Cricket West Indies. Love that. We love you all for supporting what we're trying to do with this podcast as well. So all of tomorrow's content is going to come from Santoki. So if you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, Santoki's got you locked in tomorrow live from the ground. I'm going to be traveling up to Nottingham because my football team, Bromley, are playing Notts County. And believe it or not, that's more important to me. So I'm gonna be traveling to Nottingham, but listening to the game on the radio. So Santoki's the one who's got you all locked in for all the visuals and all the kind of commentary on the game, on the must-win game tomorrow. But let's get into it. I haven't put anyone's comments up, but I see you all in the comments. Quickly picks them up. Shakes, big yourself up. You know, every time you rally, every time. Yeah, big up Santoki. I know he's watching the lives out in Dubai, so big up Santoki as well. Good luck for all of us tomorrow. Listen, you see, if we lose tomorrow, it's just as well I'm at the football tomorrow night. So you lot won't even see me jump on the live tomorrow. But I will jump on Wednesday. And you see, if we lose, boy. I'll turn up, though. I'll turn up and I'll hold all the corn. But boy, it's going to be long. So yeah, let me bring this up. Where's my thing? So this was the team that played the last game. Let's just remind ourselves. Lewis, Simmons, Gale, Hetmeyer, Pooran, Pollard, Russell, Bravo, Hussain, McCoy, Rampal. This is my gut feeling, okay? My gut feeling. Because they fell for, 55 all out, and then they took 4 wickets when England chased the 56, my gut feeling tells me it's the same team tomorrow. That's my gut feeling. If you want my honest opinion, my gut tells me it's an unchanged side. And my gut tells me that Pollard and Simmons are going to play it as that was a disgrace. That's not the real West Indies. You go again. That's what my gut is telling me they're going to do. Now, Chatil, you're saying that it'll be chaos. I don't buy that. The chances of West Indies succumbing to 55 all out again is unlikely. Well, sorry, let me bring this one up. So Mazanzi Comic Club says, I don't think South Africa can, this is a South African opinion, by the way. I don't think South Africa can beat the West Indies. While capable, West Indies have responded positively after losing the first game and is the big moment team South Africa out. I hope so. I don't know for certain if it's going to pan out like that. When I was on the Cricket Fanatics show earlier on, they were more downbeat than I was. And South Africa, okay, they didn't play well with the bat. They played very well with the ball in their first game. And I was surprised at how downbeat South African fans were compared to me. Maybe that's just the West Indian positivity and the expectation that we will rise from the ashes once again. But yeah, like I was saying, I can see the rationale behind not changing the team. But, and this is the good point from Contact, if they do go unchanged and lose, you see that criticism in the media and from the Caribbean, it's going to be utterly mad. And you see me, I can't defend them. I can't defend them. So if they do go unchanged, if they go unchanged and lose the game, I'm out. They can't look to me to help them because I might be joining the cuss out line, to be honest. But no, I do see them going unchanged. That said, we have to consider the one change that is likely. If they do change, we all know that it's Roston. We all know that this whole debate about a change hinges on Roston. Now, what I will say, though, about Roston, and I said it, I think, after the 55 all-out one, right? There were a lot of comments I saw in social media, so you have to take it with a pinch of salt. It's a lot of people shouting out into a void, much like ourselves, in fact. But there was a lot of comments after that 55 all-out going, this is why Roston should have played. This is why Roston should have played. And I kept saying to people, he just one guy, though. The other 10 batted terribly. So I hate this kind of thing we do in sports fandom where it's like, and this, like, everyone looks better when they don't play in a shambles, right? So what that one guy was going to miraculously turn around everybody else batting like a damn fool. That doesn't make any sense. That argument makes no sense to me whatsoever. Does that mean Roston shouldn't get a play? No, I'm not discounting that Roston shouldn't get a play. But again, we're back to the familiar argument that we had after the. It's back to the familiar argument we had when we were picking the England the game for the team. Sorry, for the England game. Roston can get a play, but the question mark is who for. We're still back to that same issue of who for. Now, I've looked at it. I'm going to shock you lot. Right? The only way Roston gets in my side, the only way, you lot are going to be surprised, Chris Gale has to drop out. I said it. And you lot know if I'm saying that, and I'm a Chris Gale fan. I'm a big Chris Gale fan. He's certainly in my top 3 cricketers that I've liked in terms of West Indies cricket all time. But the only way I see Roston getting in is if Chris Gale goes out. But I'm not dropping Chris Gale. So so I don't know about that one still. But this is how I work the logic, right? This is how I work the logic. And also Gale, based on that performance on Saturday, I don't even see how you justify dropping Gale. Because whilst everybody was a shambles, Gale was the least of the shambles out of everybody who was a shambles. So I don't actually see how you drop Gale anyway in reality. But to me, that's who you would drop if you're trying to put Roston in the team, right? The reason why I'm not dropping Simmons, because Simmons is the actual real drop, right? Simmons is the real drop, but Simmons isn't getting dropped. Why? Left hand, right hand. I just don't see them opening with Gale and Lewis. They should, and I want them to, and I don't buy that you must always go left hand, right hand. But I think this whole kind of idea in T20 cricket, especially now, where you jump online and you chat to people, and even on commentary now, everyone always just goes matchups, like a man can't play outside a matchup. Sometimes I listen to all this talk about matchups and entry points and this and taking on this, and I'm just thinking, shut up, innit? Because if a man's good, a man's good. Like they're supposed to overcome the matchup. You're not supposed to just look at a piece of paper and go, this guy's weak with this matchup, so now you must play the right arm off spinner. How about the person, the batsman in this case, who's facing that so-called matchup, try and overcome it? So part of me is like, it doesn't have to be left hand, right hand. But given the evolution of where 2020 cricket goes and how everybody's so kind of obsessed with the idea of matchups, it's going to be left hand, right hand. So I don't see Simmons getting dropped. I really don't. So Lewis and Simmons is a lock, right? Yeah, in fact, actually, Chatil, spot on. That's why Bangladesh lost yesterday. They played the game on like as if they'd written it down on a piece of paper. That was Bangladesh's game to win yesterday, right? But Bangladesh played that game as if they'd written down on a piece of paper, and this over you bowl for this matchup. And if this player comes in, you bowl for this matchup. That Bangladesh Sri Lanka game was calling out for Shakib to come back. Anybody with any sense was watching it going, where's Shakib? Why Shakib not come back for a bowl? But they were so obsessed with this matchup thing that they snatched a defeat from the jaws of victory. So it's not everyday matchup, you know. It can't every day be matchup. So, anyways, as I was saying, Lewis and Simmons, I think, is a lock. So really and truly, with Roston, you're back to the same argument as the first game. Does he come in for Gale or does he come in for Hetmeyer? As much as I said it would be Gale for me, more logic would suggest. Sorry, voice here. More logic would suggest it's Hetmeyer you take out. But again, my argument is. Sorry, I got something in my throat here. My argument is that Hetmeyer is a better anchor than the anchor that you lot people think Roston is. Hetmeyer's ability to explode and explode quickly outweighs anything that Roston can do with the bat. So what you lot have to ask yourself is what's more valuable, Roston's off spin or Hetmeyer's batting? So if you're not dropping Gale, move to the Hetmeyer argument. What's more valuable, Roston's off spin or Hetmeyer's batting? Okay, and that's for you lot to weigh up. That's for you lot to weigh up and decide how you would play it. For me, Hetmeyer is a much better player than Roston. In fact, I don't even know why I'm discussing that. That's obvious. Hetmeyer is a much better player than Roston with the bat. It's just whether you want another off spinner in the team. If Roston doesn't get into the team as an off spinner, then tomorrow they must be asking Chris Gale to bowl 3 or 4 overs. They have to be, because you're going to need a minimum of 2 spinners, right? So I am assuming, if there is no change to the side, that Gale is bowling 4 overs. And I wouldn't discount Gale's ability to bowl 4 overs either. I think a lot of you have forgotten that Chris Gale can actually bowl off spin. And in fact, if you want to talk data, let me pull out some data for you. In the series versus South Africa in the summer, in the games that Gale played against South Africa, he bowled 2 overs in 2 different matches against South Africa, and he had the best economy. He went for 6.5 runs per over, right? Now, granted, it's a small sample size, but that was the best economy of anybody who bowled more than an over for the West Indies in that summer series versus South Africa. So South Africa obviously found it difficult to get Gale away. So don't be surprised if Gale comes into this game as some kind of as an off-spin bowling option as well. I would not rule that out under any circumstance. Much as I said on the Cricket Fanatic show as well, I think the other thing that's changed from that South Africa series is what we're going to do with the new ball. We struggled. Yes, let me bring this up from Pran or Praneet even. De Kock struggles against right arm off spin. And that's why we have to have an off spinner in the team, which is why there has to be a serious debate about if Roston comes in or if you back Gale to do the bowling. Okay. So De Kock struggles against right arm off spin again. So you have to assume they know that. You have to assume that Chris Gale / Roston Chase is going to bowl some off spin. Good point from Chatil. Would I play Walsh Jr.? I considered that actually, Chatil. I saw what Zampa was doing to the South African batting lineup, and I was like, maybe we should be considering Walsh Jr. as well. But when I look at the team, I don't know how Hayden does get in the side. That would mean dropping one of McCoy or Rampal, and I don't see that happening yet. But having seen what Zampa did, listen, this is the problem. If I can barely argue for Roston to get in the side, who's Hayden getting in the side for? I don't see it. I don't see who they drop for Hayden. for Hayden to get in. And that's not me ruling out Hayden, because like I say, I think Hayden can do bits. I think South Africa don't know how to play spin, but I just don't know how we get Hayden in the side. Akil Hussein has to play, not because of what he did versus England alone, but because South Africa have 4 right-handed batsmen in there, or is it 5 in their top 6? They've got Temba, Bavuma, Van der Dussen, who else? Klassen, Markram. Who's the other guy? Oh, Miller's left-handed, and Pastorius is right-handed as well. So Akil Hussein is crucial because of how many right-handed batsmen South Africa have. So they don't have that many left-handed batsmen, Miller, de Kock, etc. But it's not that many in their top 7. So that's why is Klassen left-handed? Okay. No, Klassen's right-handed. So other than de Kock and Miller, I don't know if they've got any other left-handed batsmen. So it may well be that they don't feel that they have to go in with the 2 off spinners. They may feel that Gale is enough as an off spinner because of how many right-handed bats South Africa have in their side. I don't know. This is all open for debate. Okay. But anyways, yeah, the other point that we need to raise about the West Indies team, and we need to go back and look at what happened in the summer versus South Africa, is we struggled in the power play versus South Africa in that summer. Fidel Edwards didn't show up. Jason Holder didn't really show up. And this is why, for all the noise about Jason Holder this, Jason Holder that, Jason didn't bowl well in the summer. And he bowled well at the top of the year versus Sri Lanka. He didn't bowl well in the summer, and then didn't bowl well in CPL. This is why it was no surprise to me when they brought Rampal into the side, because they were obviously searching for a new ball bowler. And as I said on the Cricket Fanatics show, I think South Africa and their ability to beat us all hinges on what they do in the power play. If we can restrict South Africa in the power play, and by restrict, I mean, I don't even know, less than 40 runs and a couple of wickets or whatever it might be, right? I am then backing Obed McCoy and Bravo in particular, and probably Rampal at the death and later on in the innings, to flummox the South African batting lineup with their off-cutters into the pitch, their slower balls, their variations. South Africa struggled massively against us in the summer, which is why, if you all remember that series in the summer, every game we won, in fact, what am I saying? Every game won. Every single game against South Africa, we were always able in the final 10 overs to bring the game back, to give us a total to either chase down or to restrict South Africa from winning. And that was largely down to what McCoy and Bravo were doing with their variations, which shows me that is South Africa's weakness. It's not just about South Africa's weakness to spin. So how we play is all dependent on in terms of restricting South Africa, is all dependent on what we do in the power play. So that's us in terms of a bowling unit. The big issue now is how we bat. Obviously, 55 not all out is not happening again. That was a one-off. It's not happening again. That doesn't mean we're not going to play. We're going to play well, but 55 all out isn't happening again. Yes, in fact, actually, before I get into it, so Natalia, exactly. The power play was a mess in the summer, which is why people who wanted to fight down Ravi Rampal, why do you think he's in the side? Because the power play was a mess through the whole summer. They wanted a power play bowler. But anyways, to our batting. The threats that South Africa have, these are the main threats I see. It's Nortje and it's Shamsi. No one else. Before anyone says to me, what about Rabada? No, because I actually think our 6 hitters don't mind taking him on. But Nortje's hard pace into the pitch, I think that will frighten them. It's not Pollard's strongest suit. It's not Pooran's strongest suit. Russell is hit or miss. So I think Nortje is a problem. But an even bigger problem is Shamsi. In the summer, Shamsi bamboozled us. And he went at an economy rate of 4 runs and over across the 5 matches. So, and in the press conference, when I spoke to Phil Simmons about it, I said, what's the plan, Phil? I said, Shamsi was a big problem in the summer. What's the plan? Obviously, Phil did what you expect a coach to do. He says, we studied him and this, that, and we've looked at how the Australians have played him. But here's my advice to the West Indies. play Shamsi's 4 overs out. Try and take him for like 21 runs. Don't let him get any wickets, and then just go after the other players. You see, if this team tomorrow tries to take on Shamsi, don't get me wrong, right? You can hit someone out of the attack. And in fact, what Phil did say is he said that he alluded to the fact, or sorry, he alluded to the idea that West Indies may well have one particular batsman whose role is to target Shamsi. Well, good luck with that one. But me, just milk the guy for singles. Don't try no big shots. And you see those other 16 overs? Try focus on smashing people out the park or whatever it is you must do on the other bowlers. The other thing I should point out about what Phil said is Phil said that, and I agree with him on this actually. He said, yeah, it was reckless on Saturday, but he said what was reckless was the shot execution. In terms of looking to go out with intent in the power play, he didn't apologise for that, and nor do I think he should have done. Because I don't know if you remember in that England game, there was a brief period where Hetmeyer and Gell hit some boundaries between them. I think they hit like 4 or 5 boundaries between them, and things were looking okay again, right? And he was like, the intent was right to go out in the power play and impose themselves on England. I think that is right. But he said the shot execution from pretty much everybody was poor. And I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. I don't see what else he's supposed to have said in that situation. And then of course he laid into their game awareness, which of course was a mess. Okay. So anyways, that's kind of like the key summary of all the key points around the South Africa game. And we kind of come full circle again to, well, what does that mean for the team? I'm going to come back to, sorry, I know lots of you have been putting comments in. I'm apologizing if I haven't put all of the comments up. Yeah, and Pran, I agree with you. If you go after Shamsi, he's just going to get the better of you. There is no point to it. I don't see any point to it whatsoever. I think you just have to play him out. But based on the comments I'm seeing from you lot, I think you lot are basically saying drop Simmons, move up Gale, bring in Chase. I think that's the crux of what I'm saying, of what you lot are saying. Sorry. Fletcher can't get any game. I'm not even talking. He can't get 0 games for Fletcher right about now. So drop Simmons, move up Gale, bring in Chase. Then you have Chase as the right arm off spin, Hussain as the left arm, and Gale as an extra option should you want him for 1 or 2 overs versus a left-hander. That's one option. The other option is drop Gale straight, bring in Chase. That only leaves you with 2 spinners, Gale and Chase and Hussain. The other option is drop Hetmeyer, bring in Chase. I don't think we should be dropping Hetmeyer after his good IPL, but that's up to you lot. Yeah, Russell will bowl Natalia, by the way. He's fit enough to bowl. So that deals with Chase. What it doesn't deal with is how you get Hayden Walsh Jr. in the team. And I don't look, if everyone just looks on the screen and the team I've got up from the last game, I don't see how Hayden gets in yet. I just don't see it. I don't see who you can drop at this stage for Hayden Walsh to get in. I want to see him in, and I think South Africa would struggle versus leg spin, but I don't see who you drop at this stage for Hayden. I've thought from the minute Akil was brought into the squad, I just naturally assumed that it's always going to be between Hussain and Hayden Walsh Jr., dependent on games. And yeah, Chatil, that's the other thing. Or you rest Rampal, but you don't rest Rampal for this game because he only bowled 2 overs in the last game. So it just can't happen for this game. Basically, the 55 all out and the fact that we only bowled 8 overs means basically you have to play the same bowling attack. I don't see why you'd change the bowling attack. Last thing I'm going to deal with, because every time I do a live, this comes up. So I'm going to just say this one more time. Don't understand the management persistence with Gale at 3. Do you mean you don't understand why he's at 3 or why he's in the team? If it's why he's at 3, that was kind of explained today by Roddy Estwick in the press conference. And what Roddy Estwick said was that there's 2 reasons to basically have Gale in the side. I'm going to give Roddy's answer, then I'm going to give the second answer, which is mine. Roddy said that Gale is in the side because most teams like to play a leg spinner and bowl the leg spinner early doors, right? And having Gale in the team prevents teams bowling with a leg spinner really early. So with England, think Adil Rashid, right? If West Indies had actually played properly versus England, Adil's overs would have been a problem because he would have had to have come on earlier and not pick up 4 wickets at the back end when West Indies were already a mess. And he picks up what? He picked up like 3 of his wickets were against the tail enders, right? England wouldn't have wanted to bowl Adil early. Why? Because Puran and Gale and Hetmeyer are basically ridiculous against leg spin bowling. So one of the reasons to have Gale in at 3 is to force the other side to try and work out where they can play their leg spinner and where they fit their leg spin bowlers in, because they're afraid of what West Indies left-handers can do against their leg spinner. So whether you agree with that, I understand the rationale. You don't have to agree with it, but I understand the rationale. The other argument, and this is like what all the stats guys say, is that Gale acts as some kind of protector for Puran. So not protector as in stopping Puran facing any balls, but meaning that when Puran makes his entry, if things go according to plan, when Puran makes his entry at some point in the middle overs, that's when Puran is at his best. So by having Gale ahead of Puran, it ensures that Puran doesn't come into the attack too early. Allegedly. Again, I'm not saying you have to agree with it. I'm just saying that's the rationale that some people have behind the idea of having Gale at 3 rather than having Gale open. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it from me. I guess what some of you should be saying is, so what is your final team then? Am I changing my team? Am I changing my team to be different from what the first 11 was versus England? I'll say it again. My gut tells me they'll make no changes. My gut tells me that. What I would actually do, okay, yeah. My gut tells me they'll make no changes, but if it was up to me, I would move Chris Gale to open. I would put Hetmeyer at 3. Then I would move Chase at 4. That's what I would do. And last point, Colin, no, because you don't know that. That's the thing. Like with no offense, but we're very good at this thing in the Caribbean where we basically say it's a friendship thing and it's a this thing and it's a that thing. He's not in the team based on friendship. At the end of the day, Colin, and this is the final point I'll make on Chris Gale, right? Chris Gale has 14,000 runs in T20 cricket. If you weren't going to put Chris Gale in this T20 squad, who were you going to pick instead of him? This is a World Cup. This ain't a CPL game. This is a World Cup. He's one of the most experienced players still active. He's still, based on his whole aura, one of the, I wouldn't say the best, but he's still an important player that's active. There's an argument to say he shouldn't start all the games, but you cannot deny that he should be there. There's just no argument to make that he shouldn't be there, because every time people say Gale this, Gale that, who should have gone instead of him? Because who in the CPL did better than him in the position that Gale plays? Who was a better opener than Chris Gale that should have gone to the World Cup instead of Chris Gale? Who was a better number 3 that should have gone to the World Cup in Chris Gale? So whether we think he underperformed or not, nobody did any better than him. So Gale had to go. Because if nobody did significantly better than him, you have to go to experience. You have to. When it's a way up like that, you pick the person who is most experienced over the fact that nobody outperformed him. To me, and that's, yeah, I like Gale, but to me, that's still a logical argument. So I don't think it's a friendship thing. I just think it's a logic thing. That's why he went. And really what you should be saying, and this is my argument, you have to look at the young players back in the Caribbean and say, how comes nobody put more pressure on him so that he couldn't go? Because if I tell you now to call me a name that should have gone instead of Gale, no one can call me a name. And if you call me a name, I'll say, show me the numbers. And the numbers aren't good. So in that sense, you have to defer to the person with experience. You have to. And this is, look what you lot made me do now, have to go on a Chris Gale talk instead. And this is why I wasn't backing and continue to not back some of what the Caribbean media are saying, or what somewhat of the Caribbean fans are saying, because I don't actually think the arguments are coming from a rational standpoint. It's coming from an emotional standpoint. when it's about Chris Gale. We're looking at his age, 42, and saying he's an old man. What's he doing there? But nobody's looking at it logically and saying who else should have gone. Because the reality is the young guns didn't put any numbers up. Colin, you're saying Johnson Charles. He didn't put any numbers up. Renelle says it should have been Brandon King, but she's right. She then says, but he didn't put no numbers up. So if the young guns didn't put up, Kanar Lewis, but Kanar Lewis just had one good CPL. You can't take a man to the World Cup just off a one good CPL. There's got to be some consistency behind it. I'll take Kanar Lewis next year to Australia if I see him consistently perform over the next year. But I'm not taking a Kanar Lewis just because he had a few good innings in CPL, because I've seen Chris Gale do it everywhere. Do you see what I mean? So I get the arguments. I get it. It can't be Rutherford, though, because Rutherford plays in the middle order and he didn't take the fitness test. So he can't go. So when I say call me a name, it's got to be someone who's actually available. Rutherford couldn't go. I would have had Rutherford in my side today. But he didn't even take the fitness test, so he can't go. So again, I have to say, rather than look at Chris Gale, we should be looking at the young guns in the region and saying, how are you letting Chris Gale make the team ahead of you? Why aren't you putting up the numbers consistently to make sure Gale could never have gone World Cup? That's my argument. That's my argument. Anyways, whatever. This wasn't about Chris Gale. This wasn't about Chris Gale. This was about the names that should have. Oh, sorry. This was about the names that should be in the team for tomorrow. So I don't know if I've really answered it. I would have Roston in tomorrow. I actually would, but I would have Simmons out and move Gale up. But I do not believe that's what they're going to do. So that would be my team tomorrow. Just the last few. I'll just pick up a last few points from people. Did Gale pass the fitness test? Yes, but he does have a medical exemption because of issues with his back. Brandon King, does he go to the World Cup next year? Yeah, he will do if he gets going. But to be honest, Renelle, I want Brandon King to focus on red ball cricket. I want him to allow this white ball thing and focus on red ball cricket. If we can get some first-class cricket going again, which is scheduled to restart in January or February in 2022, then I want to see Brandon King taking that seriously. Contact, yeah, it's do or die tomorrow. We lose, we're done. And boy, anyways, let's not even talk on that one. Contact says chasing Simmons out. Dwayne Smith. Huh. Thank you as always, everyone, for jumping on. Loads of you came in the back end of that video. As usual, like I always say, share the videos with your peoples. Lock in for the match tomorrow. Lots of you are in the Caribbean, and I think that means it's 11. It starts 11 o'clock UK time. So it starts 11 o'clock UK time, which must mean in the Caribbean, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, depending on which side of the Caribbean you're on. So I hope you're all getting up early to watch that match. And that will make your cuss out even worse if they lose, because they got you out of bed in the early hours to watch the match. But big up the Caribbean and everyone in the Caribbean who's on the live. I was going to go, but very quick. Oh, no, that's not it. Just because I saw this last comment, Rutherford said he wasn't asked to take a fitness test, so who's lying? Ian, believe it or not, I think Shafane is lying, because he knows what the system is for taking a fitness test. You take it with your franchise team. Now, the issue with Shafane is he's never around to take the fitness test for the Jaguars, because if you think about it, Shafane's always traveling the globe. He's always playing in white ball T20 tournaments. So it's when I say he failed the fitness test, I mean, he didn't take the fitness test. So when he's saying he wasn't asked to, he knows what the system is. All the players know that you're supposed to take a fitness test with your franchise. If Shafane's not around, that's on him. That's on him. So anyways, he knows what he has to do moving forward. Big up everyone for joining. Share it with your peoples. And let's lock in tomorrow and rally around the West Indies as always. And I shall see you all possibly on Wednesday to review the match. Boy, I hope we win. Anyways, laters, people. Peace.